I watched a little bit of Dr. Sanjay Gupta talking with Joe Rogan. I'm not
Mm.
going to play any clips. So I watched a little bit of that and I saw some of the dialogue on social media. And I also watched The View this morning. And pretty much all the panelists, except for Sunny Hostin, they were saying this is really important. This is really important for people on opposite sides to have this kind of conversation. And I keep hearing this narrative over and over that part of the problem we are where we are right now culturally is that we're refusing to have conversations with each other. And I'm always down to be corrected. I'm always down to see it from a different perspective. And for me, where I am, and I want to know where both of y'all are, considering what both of y'all do in media, I don't want to have the conversation. I'm sorry. And I'm like, am I being stubborn like the other side? And let me be clear. I've had folks on the other side. We've had Black conservatives on this show, and it was a train wreck because I felt like I was talking to a flat earther. Right? Now, I've had people on this show where we disagree because all Black folks aren't a monolith, but we're not flat earthers.
Like
So
Kyrie.
when can't there we go. And I had what's her name? I forgot her last name, Jedediah from the View on here at one point. Former
Jedediah
View
Bila.
co-host. Exactly.
Yeah.
And we were going down flat earther conversation. And I said, what's the point of this? Right? What exactly is the point? Now, I will always say this. I will always have someone on this show who is an elected official. Mitch McConnell can come on anytime.
Right.
Lindsey Graham can come on anytime. Cotton to Congress, Tim Scott can come on anytime because they are elected officials who have political, I will always call them Cotton to Congress. They are elected officials who have political power. But y'all know they won't come on here and talk to me. They won't talk to even Joyanne Reed, Roland Martin. They won't talk to us. But am I making a mistake by saying, no, I don't want to talk to a Candace Owens? Even when she came to Sirius XM, I didn't want to talk to her. I don't want to talk to a Diamond and Silk. I don't want to talk to somebody who is, in my opinion, upholding white supremacy. And I got an invite from Charlie Kirk's team to come on there. No, I don't want to talk to Charlie Kirk. Why would I? I have no desire to engage in that kind of conversation. It's one, and maybe for me, I see it differently because maybe as a Black man, I don't want to talk to a Klan member. And I'm not saying those folks are Klan members, but I'm just saying, what's the point of this dialogue? And are you really going to listen to me? If we don't have a basic fundamental belief in all of us having the equal right to vote and all of us having equal access to healthcare and all of us being able to live our lives without harming other people, then I don't know what the dialogue is. But I'm telling you, and I'm down to check myself, I keep hearing we must talk to the other side. You're in a bubble. Now, I don't really know how Black folks can be in bubbles because we only have a couple Black senators. I don't think, what is it? Do we have any Fortune 500 companies that are owned by Black folks? Or there might be a couple. I don't know. Black folks, we're constantly engaging with folks who are not us because we aren't the majority in this country. But am I wrong? 866-801-8255. This is the narrative. The part of the issue is we're not talking to the other side. And I will admit, I'm not. And I don't know if I want to. I don't know if it's worthy. I don't know if I want it for my own self-care. Do I have to really come on these airwaves or sit down and talk to somebody to explain the basics of voting rights? Is that what I'm supposed to do? I don't know. I keep hearing this over and over. Reese, let's start with you. The other side conversation. What are your thoughts?
Well, I have many minds of this. There's part of me that's like, hey, sometimes you have to go into the lion's den, but I also understand that not all lion's dens are the same kind of lion. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, we talked earlier about my misinformation stuff. I was willing to go into spaces where it was going to be hostile to a person who supports Vice President Kamala Harris or then Senator Kamala Harris, because I felt like this voice is missing in those spaces and we have to have those conversations. And I felt like there were people that were reachable in those spaces and they just hadn't been talked to. So I do believe to a certain extent of going into the lion's den, but I think there is a difference between, like, for instance, Black people who are not monolithic and we don't all agree, and maybe this show, like somebody's show, they might not like Kamala or something like that. There's a difference between that as opposed to the conservative side, which is all about manipulating sound bites and all about getting their sound bite. It's like when the guy CJ Pearson, when he went on Roland, and he was challenged the entire time, but I kind of laughed my way through it a little bit because I was like, he's getting exactly what he needs out of this, right? His audience is not going to hear any of this conversation. They're going to hear him call Jane Elliott a white liberal and a Karen and all this other kind of stuff, and that's going to be celebrated. And so you do have to understand, are you furthering their agenda by being in their space? Or, so I think there's that difference. But my overarching thing is always know what the other side is talking about. You have to know. Yes. And then that way I put it out there. My position is I'm putting it out there for people to be armed with it, so that when they have their conversations, something might click to them like, oh yeah, I heard her talking about that. That's what you're talking about, And that's what I've done in my disinformation, misinformation campaigns, is really just put stuff out there that I've heard from people that I don't agree with, so that other people can then have that conversation. And I ain't got to do it because I'm with you, Clay. I don't want to have all these conversations with y'all. I don't give a damn about what your opinion is. So I'm not taking it upon myself to convince you on a one-on-one individual basis. But I do believe that it's important to know, you have to know your opposition. Because if you don't know your opposition and you're only talking to people who agree with you, then you are in a bubble and you're not able to effectively communicate and put stuff out there that is really offensive rather than always being on the defensive.
Quickly, before I go to you, David, so let me ask you, Reese. So years ago, I used to go on Fox News. Then I stopped going on there. I just felt like it was ridiculous. It was pointless. And it got really terrible when Obama got into office. It just got really ugly. And I just said, I'm never going on there again. And I stopped going on there. So if you got a call from Tucker Carlson who said, I want you to come on and I want to talk about Kamala Harris's record, would you do it?
At first I said, hell no. But then you said Kamala Harris and I'm like, I don't know. That's a hard question to answer because, I understand that Tucker Carlson's audience is very hostile to Vice President Kamala Harris, and they're not going to be fertile ground for me to, debunk things. But again, when I say, CJ got what he got, maybe I can get something that I need out of that equation too. So I think I'd have to really think about it. I'm inclined to say no, but I also know how it goes both ways. We can all get the sound bites that we need. We can all, just like they can do it, we can do it. They just do a better job at it than we do, unfortunately.
They do.
But Tucker Carlson, he's a little too out there for me. But maybe, Faulkner, what's the Black lady name?
Faulkner. Harris Faulkner.
Harris Faulkner. Boom. Okay, I can go to her. Okay, but
that would be a bloodbath. That would be a bloodbath. She would just remember when the guy was what was it? Did he make a comment about Kool-Aid and fried chicken in front of Harris Faulkner on Fox News? There was something like that. Maybe it went down like that. Yeah, there's that. David, you're more objective. You come from this from a different perspective. What are your thoughts about this other side conversation?
So I'm in line with Reese on this one. And I would even go. I know, shocker. Look, it's your birthday. But I would even go as far, though, as to say, Reese, I would love to see you on Tucker Carlson's show if they ever brought you on. When you go on a show where the host is either going to be hostile or someone you're going to disagree with on the issues, what that does mean, and we all know this, and I think your listeners know this too, you have to prepare even a little bit extra to know exactly what you're going to say about a given topic, to make sure your research is tight, to make sure if you're throwing out a poll number that you double check that poll number before you go on the air. But I would love to see Reese on Tucker show or some other Fox show. I would love to see you, Clay, on Tucker Carlson show or another
I'm not
show.
going back to Fox.
Okay, I get it. I get it.
And they just stopped calling me like a year and a half ago.
Okay, but
I would never
here's
go
the
back
thing.
on there.
I understand, Clay, what you're saying about like, why is it my job to educate you, the other side? Why is it my job to bring the facts to a relatively fact-free environment? Why is it my job to spar with someone who's not sparring in good faith? I think that's what you're saying. And I guess my answer is a lot similar to what Reese was saying. My experience as a journalist goes back to when I was at The Root and I covered Black conservatives. That was my beat. A lot of people do it now, and people do it better than I used to do it. And there are people who have gone more into the in-depth and into the philosophy in the weeds. But when I was doing it in 2010, very few other people were covering Black conservatives on the regular. And so for me, number one, it's a natural thing to discuss. And I'm not saying I'm the opposite of a Black conservative. I mean, there are people, your listeners know I'm more conservative than a lot of people that come on this show. But for a Black publication at the time to cover Black conservatives, you're often dealing with issues where people are going to see things differently, number one. And number two, I found that I learned a lot more. I got more than I gave in some of those discussions when I was interviewing people and debating with people. And it was a way for me to understand the full picture of politics and race in this country in a way that I didn't before I did that. When you're talking about someone like Joe Rogan now, he has the biggest podcast in the world. Okay, so even if some of the stuff he says is full of shit, if he invited me on his show, would I go on? Yes, I would 100% go on Joe Rogan's show. And I think it was good for Sanjay Gupta to go on the show, because that's not because, oh, we got to have both sides and we've got to have more dialogue and lock arms and kumbaya, but because the only way Sanjay Gupta, a physician, someone who is like America's doctor on TV, can reach those millions of people who listen to Joe Rogan is by going on Joe Rogan. And I think that's why I would do. Look, part of me too is just, I believe in let's air it out. I would be on a panel at a white supremacist convention as long as they could guarantee my safety to and from the venue. Okay.
I don't know. I hear you. I hear you. And I think when it comes to Black conservatives or Black elected officials who are conservative, I think that's different. Again, elected officials talk to them. But I also feel like that we are in so much of a versus culture. And to be fair, I heard Karen say this, talking about it beyond just the versus things. But we're in this versus culture. And I remember when I used to go on Fox News, I was going on there frequently for several months. And I remember, unlike when I would go on MSNBC and CNN, is that the hosts, except for Laura Ingraham, they were totally different off camera. They weren't even the same person. And I experienced that when that red light came on, they would turn into someone else. And I said, okay, now when I've been on CNN with Don Lemon, or I've been on MSNBC with countless hosts.
They're the same people behind.
They're the same people.
Right.
So this is a grift at this point. This feels like now Laura Ingraham. She was the same off and on camera. She was exactly who she was. I was like,
Clay, one of my favorite clips, like that I play on the internet anytime I think of it, is that scene from the Boondocks where they're in the green room with cartoon Ann Coulter. Do people know that one?
Yes.
Just YouTube it, Clay Nation.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it.
So,
it's hilarious. It's hilarious. And I have no idea what Ann Coulter is like in real life, but that clip is hilarious.
Yeah, so I struggle with the idea of hearing the other side. First of all, I think the other side with more power has been heard for a very long time. And I guess I have given up on the idea of converting people. Again, not all, but trying to convert people. If you're a diehard Tucker Carlson fan, or you're still supporting Candace Owens after the heinous things she said about George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. I don't want to dialogue with you. And I do think in this time where there is so much dialogue, which is a good thing, I have to be careful who I'm going to dialogue with. And I don't know. I keep hearing it as a talking point. That's one of the problems with our culture, that we're not talking to the other side. I don't know if that's it. I just think that I think one side has been heard for a very long time. And if you have to advocate for your right to exist or advocate basic facts, that's the other thing. The sky is blue and you're saying it's green. What am I gonna do? So I heard that and I saw Joe Rogan, and then kind of what you said, Reese. Joe Rogan got his clips with us. Sanjay Gupta said that, I called Sanjay Gupta out because CNN lied on me. Then Sanjay Gupta's on Don Lemon's show saying, he actually had it wrong. And I said, so what was solved? I feel like now we're deeper in these alleged culture wars. I don't know. Listen,
but I do want to say though,
go ahead, Reese.
I don't think you have any obligation to put the other side on your show. When it comes to the platform that you have or the platform that I have, you don't get that voice on my shit, period. You know what I'm saying? Go take that somewhere else. But I do think that there is some value some of the time, not all the time, not automatically, in going to the other side. Go on their shit. They got the audience. Go on there and do what you got to do there. But as far as over here, keep that over there.